Okay. All right. My next guest, I sound like a late night talk show host.
Doing this well?
But I don't have a band or anything. Linda McNary, very happy to have you here. Linda and I don't think we met in person until today, did we?
Until today.
Yeah, so Linda was a guest on one of our webinars and was an expert in the space that I've talked to a number of times to get some input on. We've exchanged ideas. Do you want to share your official title that you, I forget what the exact title is.
That's
of
okay.
American
It's a mouthful.
Okay.
I'm Vice President of the Americas for American Express Meetings and Events.
Okay,
so
Vice President of the Americas for American Express Meetings and Events.
Correct.
Okay, and about how many event professionals are in that domain within the United States?
In my total organization, we are building back quickly to 2019 levels, which, by the way, I'll be glad when we never compare anything to 2019 ever
right?
again.
I know.
But so we're around 400 and growing quickly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and give us a bit of an idea as to what those people do. Do they work on American Express's events, or do they work on companies' events that they are embedded within, sort of like travel managers, or some combination of all three?
All of the above. We actually have American Express as a client of ours, so we have a contract just with any other customer. We do American Express meetings, board of directors meetings, incentive trips, and everything in between. And then for the rest of our customer base, we're very strong in pharma, technology, a lot of other verticals, but we do everything from full outsourced, being the meetings department for strategic meetings management, to doing ad hoc, doing standalone events. We also have a sourcing-only service offering in North America called Meetings Expert.
Okay. And American Express just came out with the a forecast for 2023.
Correct.
Right? What is the official name of that?
It's our Meetings and Events Forecast.
Okay, so I got it.
We didn't get too creative on that one.
Okay, so I was pretty close. I didn't want to mislabel it.
Yeah, no.
I know we're a little bit tight on time, but if you could give a couple of key takeaways or insights from that report, and then maybe just share how people can get it, that would be great.
Absolutely. So a few key takeaways. One of the things that we were really interested to see was the optimism around meetings and events.
And sorry, you've done this report every year,
yes,
right?
We've done this report for 12 years now.
Okay.
So, and that which is nice because,
we
can do some nice comparisons. And we actually considered in 2020, should we do it or should we not? And we decided we cannot not do it. So we've continued to do it. So a couple key findings. First of all, optimism is high, and it's up 6 points from last year. And we're measuring that. So 77% of our respondents scored an 8 or above in terms of their optimism around the industry, which is pretty exciting, and seeing the growth from last year. Definitely from an economic perspective, meetings are not getting any cheaper. We heard that both from suppliers as well as buyers as well.
Well, they're getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So the hotel costs are going up, airline costs are going up, things that everyone knows, but so there's a lot of compression on that. And really the last thing I think is no surprise, and it's sort of a twofold theme. One is the prevalence of smaller meetings. As we return, groups are shorter lead times, getting small groups of people together, and really driving corporate culture and engagement. So with dispersed workforces, with people having been in isolation for a long period of time, the need to get your teams back together, meet with your customers, do whatever, so that you can re-engage and reignite the energy behind your business objectives.
And just out of curiosity, I don't know if you have the data on this, but and I've totally thought that the remote work and the hybrid workforce is going to unleash a whole slew of changes, some positive, some negative, on our industry that we're just beginning to process.
Absolutely.
Are you finding, or are your teams finding, that these internal events, these sort of culture building, connecting events, are they spending as much per person as they might have spent for client-related events?
You know, it's a great question. You always have really insightful questions.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, yes, because there is a team building component or a celebration component to these smaller meetings, even if it's for internal meetings. Getting the groups back together, you want to take them to a very nice dinner, you want to take them to a ball game, you want to take them to do something to really enjoy being together again. So money is being spent right now. Mm-hmm. I don't have the data off the top of my head as to whether it's higher for internal events more than customer. I doubt if My common sense and intuition says no,
Right.
because generally customer events,
Right.
there's a little bit more money spent there. But that'd be interesting. I'll dig back with my data team and find out.
But I wonder if they maybe are staying longer because they need to have more team building time.
We did look at length of stay, and the belief, because of the cost, is the length of stay may
Be
decrease
shorter?
slightly.
Okay. All right. That
Just
makes
because,
sense.
right, how do we tighten up the agenda, get done what we need to get done, but not incur another room night with costs going up. So
How is the supply and demand dynamic shaping up moving into next year? I mean, so we went from an incredible suppliers market in 2019. We had a booming economy, a booming industry, really, really strong supplier positioning. And then it fell off a cliff, and
Right.
it wasn't even like it was a buyer's market. There were just no buyers
Right.
during COVID. And now there were some, but there was a lot of,
was a lot of
cancellation of
hesitancy,
traveling.
right.
So it flipped, and then suddenly it's flipped back, it seems,
Right.
you have this buildup of events that were supposed to take place in 2020, 2021, got rolled over, and then you've got pent-up demand for new stuff. So it's sort of shifting, and I feel like we still haven't found our equilibrium yet.
it's going to continue to
What
be
does
rocky.
2023 look like based on what you're seeing?
I think 2023 is going to be continued of this chaotic environment. What we are talking to customers about, and all the suppliers we speak to, the more lead time possible, which doesn't feel like a reality right now for organizations, and I'm sympathetic to that. I'm empathetic to that. That said, that if you want a quality experience, you need to start thinking a little bit more ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest key things. We've had many situations where our own internal sourcing teams are competing at the same property on behalf of different customers.
Oh, really?
For the
How do
same
you
space.
manage that?
Yeah, I mean that's a delicate situation for sure, and a lot of it is consulting around what is the experience you want, what is the best property, what is the best fit, and how do we find a win-win here.
And do you have to sort of run interference on that as like
Thankfully, I don't
making your
personally,
children
but-
play well together or something?
No, but our teams do work well to try to recognize and understand that, and work with our partners to
Yeah.
find alternatives and trade-offs.
I guess you want to be careful not to bid against each other. It reminds me to early days of the pandemic when states were bidding for ventilators against
Right,
each other.
against one another.
It was crazy, and the only people that won were the ventilator manufacturers. Okay, last question.
Yep.
From a skill standpoint, since I live in the education space, what are you seeing? And just feel free to just freestyle. What are you seeing in terms of skill gaps among the people in your organization and maybe the broader industry? Where are areas of opportunity for them where they can level up from, whether it's a technical skill and a hard skill or possibly just a soft skill?
Yeah. And I feel like you're leading the witness a little bit here based on conversations we've had, but I'm happy to share the thought process.
No, but feel free to say, hey, look, nobody knows how to add. I mean, math, long division's a problem, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The hard skills, I think the greatest opportunity is consistency around competency. What you expect, and even meeting with suppliers today, the hotel companies, they're realizing that what a convention services manager does at one property, it may be different from a different property. And so consistency of role and what you can expect when you're working, and for my organization, that is consistency of what a sourcing manager does, what a meeting manager does, so that we all know the roles and we can operate more efficiently. From a soft skill, I go back right now, I think communication is so critical, and I speak to my teams about oftentimes when I do get involved in escalations, they get frustrated because they say, Linda, you just said the same thing that we've been saying for 2 weeks. And yes, my position may have something to do with it, but I think it's also how you're able to articulate things and being able to communicate effectively, empathetically, and be, those soft skills. I think we all can look to improve them. I'm certainly not perfect.
So from the standpoint of communication, are you talking to clients or to venues and suppliers, or both? Both. Okay. I tend to agree with you. I mean, we have a course on event measurement and analytics, and a big part of that is not necessarily the calculation, but the ability to sit down with a client and just discuss, hey, why are we doing this? What's the value?
100%.
How will we know if we're successful? And a lot of times what I'm seeing, and I was just talking with Danielle Menashe about this, is there's a power disparity between a relatively senior level client and somebody who's the planner. And a lot of them may know that this is the right thing to say or push back or question, but they're intimidated by that. And as a result, they just take the order, they execute on it, and maybe what the client wants
in their stomach knowing.
I know, but wouldn't the client value if they said, and there are coaching ways to do it. Look, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, would we not be maybe better served to achieve your goals by doing this as opposed to this? Is that something that is, do you think that that's something that the majority of people would still benefit from getting better at?
100%. And I would say, now I'm going to go broad, our society needs the ability to communicate better. But thank you so much for the time.
I'm going to let you go. This was great. And so where
run.
Can people get the report if
it
they want to download it?
It is available on our website. I'm happy to send that back to your team. You can get that published out.
Okay. So it's the American Express Meetings and Events.
Correct. Website. And
the report, the name of the report.
It's the 2023 Annual Meetings and Events Forecast.
Meetings and Events Forecast.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. So we'll distribute it on the ELI site.
Perfect.
And we'll share the insights. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, cool.
I enjoyed it.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
Okay.
Zoe, can we squeeze you in? Okay, last one, okay?